Hi, this is SportsReplays, and this is how I did this round. So, yeah, a lot better this round. I think it might be my best round this year. So, yeah, not too bad. Could be a bit better, but we're heading in the right direction for once, and hopefully this is a continued trend. So, 2,410 this week, and just in the top 20,000 for the round, which is mediocre. And went up quite a lot in the season rank, which is great. I mean, it really couldn't get much worse from 50,000. So, got up the ranks a bit, which is great. I'm happy about that. It's about time I actually went up. So yeah, have a look at my team. So 101 from Sheasel, it's, pretty average from him. So yeah, look, everyone has Sheasel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. Then Jordan Clark, 146, so he bounced back after a terrible game last week. I think a lot of the Freo players were so bad last week that, I mean, it was hard. The guarantee of doing better next week was a lot higher. So, yeah, happy with Jordan Clark. Sort of a semi-pod that did well. And then you got Max Holmes has also bounced back after a mediocre last couple of weeks, so 134. So I'm happy about that. And then 72 from Roberts, which is not particularly great. So I'm not too sure. I don't think he's a top 6 defender. So he might have to go. Might be one of the last trade outs, I reckon, if I do have that ability to do so. If you can trade him out towards the end of the season or later after the bye rounds, he'd be probably one of the last players I trade out, or maybe even have him as an emergency option potentially. Who knows, of a luxury emergency option. And then we've got Sam DeConning, 117. So there's another pod that did well. Sort of finally got the score that I wanted from him. So he's probably going to be in the side for at least another week. Most likely. There's probably a few other players want to get out now. If DeConning didn't perform as well, then he probably might be on that chopping block, but his break even be a bit lower next week. So he's most likely going to go up in value next week. And if he can get to 400k, then it would be just a small upgrade. The upgrade won't be as big when I do upgrade him. And then Reed, 133. So he's probably Rookie of the Year now after that performance. Yeah, I mean, he's not really a rookie, to be honest. He's been in the AFL system for the last couple of years. So he's a bit more mature than some of these other first-year players coming through. So that's why one of the reasons why he's been able to probably have that high scoring potential. And 133, I mean, I knew he was good, being an Essendon supporter, but I didn't think he was that good. So, I mean, he's really helped Essendon really win the last few games, really. Just defensive performance has been outstanding. Sydney had a lot more, a fair amount more inside 50s, but only managed a low score. Only managed barely above 60. So, yeah, great effort from Reed. Really happy. He's finally coming along better than I expected. Like after the first 2 rounds, thought, this might be, not necessarily a dud rookie, but it's going to be a slow burn. But he's actually gelled well. And, I think Essendon's defence has performed quite well, even though they're against poorly oppositions. Not the best opposition. Sydney did play in a grand final last year, and a lot of people aren't really taking that in consideration. I know they're probably not playing that well this season, but to get 133, after a few injury seasons is just phenomenal. And then you've got Brock 60, which is okay for the price point. He actually went up almost 60k, which is great. So that's the reason why I traded him in, and Carroll didn't play. So that's a bit of concern there with some of these Carlton rookies that quite a few of them, which will probably need to go at some point, at least with the buys coming up. So don't think I might have enough players on the field. So I'm probably going to have to worry about the buys for the next few weeks. I need to check out my structure because I don't want to have a week where I only can field like 15, 16 players. And it's going to be a disaster of a week. And then you've got the midfielders here. We've got Dacos and Dunkley. Dacos only got 76, which is, it's bad, terrible by his standards, really. I mean, he's not perfect, so he's going to have a poor game, and Collingwood still won. But yeah, 76. He's not the only top player that did poorly this week. You got Merritt, only got 80. I mean, he did kick 2 goals. He had a different role, though, Merritt, and Neil, who got an average score as well. So he wasn't the only superstar who did poor this week, or by their standards anyway. But having as a VC option as 76 is not really ideal, because then it puts a bit more risk onto the captaincy. And then I got Dunkley as captain, 139, which was great, and I'm happy with that. But I did have the captain on Sherry all week and thinking, I should have Sherry or Dunkley. Who's going to score more? You back the averages in Sherry, but could Dunkley go bananas? Could North Melbourne lose by 10 goals and Dunkley get a 150, 160 score? So I was partly wrong there. I wasn't expecting 186 in the game to be a draw. But from Sherry, 186. I mean, yeah, that's phenomenal. We'll get to that later in a minute. But yeah, 139. Happy with that from a captain. There's a few other captain scores. Some people had Neil as captain. So, I mean, that's like 50, 60 points, even 100 points loss of Sherry. So, you'd be very frustrated there if you had Sherry instead. And then Sarong, just continuing the season of mediocrity. 104. And it looks like I've chosen the wrong Freo midfielder. Brayshaw was just phenomenal. Was one of the higher averaging players this season. He might even be up there. Be in at least top 5 averaging players this season. He's really shocked. Surprised me a little bit. So, yep. I'm just going to have to accept that fate. Look, I'll still hold Sarong, because I'm going to be losing money on him. And it could potentially, bounce back if Freo do have a weaker performance. Freo have a weaker team player, a weaker side potentially. So look, we'll have to wait and see with Sarong. He might be an off year or just a poor start. I mean, there's still a lot of rounds left in the season. He hasn't been a complete disaster, but for the price that I paid for him, I could have picked up like a Jordan Dawson at a cheaper price point. Or even a Zach Merritt or someone else who's done a little bit better. And then you got Rosie, bounce back, 134, so happy about that. So it's a semi-pod, not really a pod, but not everyone has Rosie, so happy about that. And then Finn Callahan, 104, just an average score. Did okay, not a disaster score. So he's a hold. And then Will Ashcroft, 94. So he's averaging 102 this season. He's probably not going to get too much higher. So his price point's probably around that 500k, and it's a little bit of improvement from last year. So he might be one of the last few players trade out. And then you got Ashcroft, Levi Ashcroft, just a 77. And he's probably going to be most likely a trade out this week, or one of the players that I'll look to do so. Then Hall didn't play. And then the other Hall, Max Hall, 77. So he's another surprise rookie who's been a bit of a slow burn, but he started off slow, but he's actually made quite a lot of money, more than some of these other rookies that are a bit higher profile. So, yeah, look, I'm happy with that. He's probably going to be even a hold, because his break-even's still going to be low, so he's most likely going to get that. And they play West Coast too, St Kilda, so they could potentially get like another 80-point score. If he can get like 1 or 2 goals as well, he should be able to reach that. So, I mean, look, I'll hold this week with Hall. His break-even's probably still be fairly low, and he's playing West Coast, so that means St Kilda could probably win by most likely 5 or 6 goals. He might get 1 or 2 goals potentially, and he should hopefully get that 70-80 score that we want, and even get up to close to 340, 350, then we can trade him off, or maybe even at least hold him for the buyers, because he's actually done better than I thought he would. And then you got Kako, still went up in price, but only scoring a 30, even though Esther won and had dominated the Supercoach scoring. So, look, yeah, with Kako, small forward, it's probably the worst role, really. I can't think of a worse role than a small forward. And he really hasn't, he's only really had that good practice match. And other than that, he hasn't really lived up to, he's had a few okay games, a few moments, he's done all right, but he hasn't really kicked like 3 goals in a game yet. It's only his first year, even against some of the weaker side. So, Eastern do have a tough run coming up. We do play Richmond though, so you could potentially get a couple goals there. He might even be a trade out this week, although his job security's there, and you might want to hold him for the buyers when that comes around, which is the reason why I'm not going to get rid of him. He could potentially get dropped because he was probably one of our worst players on field. Still reckon he's going to be in the side, but yeah, they may give him a break since it is first year. Who knows? And then Camperelli's another dead rookie. And then obviously the ruckman here, Sherry, 186. You can't really ask for anything better, really. I wish I did choose him as captain, but I mean, that's a mistake that I made. But look, I think Shearer Gorn are probably the two best rucks at the moment. DeConning did have a good start, but he sort of dropped off in the last month. That's why I was a bit uncertainty with DeConning, but just have to hold on to him, I guess. It's not a disaster. And Boyd didn't play, and then you got Rankin only 97. Horn Francis bounced back with 118. They're very close to winning Port. I think they won on expected scores. And Sydney, they won on expected scores, but didn't really... lost it really themselves with poor kicking and giving away free 50-metre penalties. It's sort of really main reason why they lost. Can't really blame the umpires for that. 93 from Wayner. So I traded him in for Davison. It was probably... I think, we got 40, 50 points more than Davison. I could be wrong about that. So, look, we'll see how we go with Wayner. He's probably on the fringe of top 6 forwards. The four line's a lot stronger this year. And then we've got McRae, 79. It's a little disappointing. And this is where sort of the things go down a little bit. Where, 51. I mean, everyone has Daniel. So he's actually lost money. And he might even be a trade out this week, potentially. Probably, maybe not. I really don't want to do it. But it's a bit of a concern. 51 for a player of his ability. And then you got 35 from Cleary. So he's probably going to have to go. And then Huswaite, which is probably even more frustrating, to be honest. A lot of people traded him in. I traded him last week. And he did all right last week. Played well, but he got subbed out at half time. So I'm not too sure the reasoning for that. Hawthorn supporters will have a better idea. But yeah, I'm not too sure. He wasn't really... he wasn't performing as well as the last couple of games, but there was players from Hawthorn who weren't playing as well as him. So I don't know if he was injured or something happened. I'm not too sure about that, which is a bit of a concern. So hopefully he doesn't get dropped next week. It's going to hurt his cash flow now. And then Will Wise actually lost money. I don't know, okay, I think one quarter he did all right, but didn't do too much after that. So he's probably potentially be a trade out. And then you got Erasmus, another player who started as a sub, who I got to remove at the last minute. I did bring him in, but then forgot to remove him when it was announced sub. It really shouldn't be sub, It's just, at least get him a full game in, He's played AFL before. Get him a full game in. It's ridiculous. Who they got next week? GWS. I'm not too sure, to be honest. So, look, I think the major concern with this side is just... I'm more worried about the buys now, to be honest with you. I haven't really focused on them. There's just a lot of dead rookies here. They're not really... And the ones that are playing aren't going to make too much money. Brock's still got another 1 or 2 weeks in him. Hall might have another week, but he's at match price point. So, there's a few things I'm going to have a look to consider. Either get rid of Cleary, he potentially might be dropped after that couple of poor performances. Trade him out, bring in Nick Martin, who I can do, 342k. And then, no one's really... There's no real... there's no one actually really here as a rookies to really bring in. So, you go to average here. Nick Martin. You even got Luke Jackson too, but he has a bit of injury. I think he got an injury cloud. Could potentially pick him once he comes back. Matthew Kennedy's performed well. I want to go with Nick Martin. Actually, yeah, he's got 145. I just think he's the one you can pick. Cheaper than Petrarca. Get rid of him. So that leads only really $85,000. Now, what I could do. So the thing is, I don't want to get rid of Kako because it does have great job security. That's the reason I'm probably going to hold him up until he has his bye. And then you got Hall and Levi Ashcroft. What should I do here? Is another thing. When does St Kilda play? So since they play that match, I'll probably have him there on. Things I've got really two rookies on field here. And Reed's, he's not really performing like a rookie, isn't he? And I've got Huswaite here, so I'm not too sure what's going to happen with him. They do play in a Thursday night Hawthorn, so we'll get an indication early on if he's playing or not, which is good. So over these Thursday night games too, it's just another reason why it's been a bit frustrating because you're juggling work and you've only got like an hour to select, and it's just and you haven't got the full games for the previous matches for the Saturday and Sunday and the benches and who's playing, and it's just frustrating, particularly with these rookies. So we'll have to wait and see with him. Hopefully he plays, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a problem. Still got another trade. Got another boost too. Could probably potentially get rid of Carroll. So if I was getting Ashcroft, who's the midfield I'm going to get rid of him for? That's a thing. See, LeRons didn't play. Hugh Boxhorn, he's got 38. Dunsall didn't play either. Jackson Binns didn't play. So there's no one really coming in at all. Well, you do have this guy here, Josh Delena, but he's only averaging 31, so it's kind of pointless bringing him in. Unless you're really that desperate. Trevor DeRoca, he got dropped, but he's already made 23. Bow Island. He's a really player though. West Coast, they probably should change something different. There's really no one there to really bring in. Really, it's just a bit of a joke, really. Morass, 24. Glad I got rid of him. So there was no one really there who I wanted to trade out for Levi Ashcroft. There's no rookies. What about if I trade out Carroll? Anyone in defence, if McDonald does play, you can probably bring him in. Not leave. Bring him in 134k to potentially do a Levi Ashcroft and upgrade to a mid maybe. Could do that. I want to bring another midfield because that's where I'm probably sort of lacking. Lewis Hazen, he did well as well, and he's probably going to be injured for the rest of the season. It's another potential rookie we could have had. Jed Hughes, 95. Wait until next week on Hughes. Fortunately, Hayes has gone down. McDonald as well. But yeah, this guy, John Fonte's not really what a 160k for an average of 53. No thanks. And the rest just aren't really good enough. So you really got Hughes and having Oxford McDonald to really come in. So this is the issue this week. There's quite a few players that are, at a decent price that I do want to bring in. I think Jack Sinclair's another one. But there's no real good, really rookie options now. Oscar McDonald does play. Maybe I could potentially get rid of him for Carroll. Then if saying the Conning has an average week next week, I can upgrade him to a Sinclair or a Whitfield if I have the money. That's what I could do going forward. I'll need to have a look at the fixturing too. But yeah, there's just no really good rookies coming through. There's only a few if they do play, or the job security is mediocre. So that's a huge concern here. Because I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do there. But as long as I can sort of get rid of Cleary, that's one off the field. have Nick Martin. And then there's the 4 line's almost complete. Probably need to get rid of Daniel for Smith maybe, which I probably should have. Bringing Bailey Smith a while ago, but that was one of the biggest mistakes I've made really with this team. Yeah. I just really don't know what other rookies to really bring in at this stage. It's probably not going to be a boost this week, really. Unless one is definitely guaranteed play, then I could potentially get rid of Ashcroft. But I want to. But which midfielder I'm going to bring him in? No, like who I'm going to actually? Let's have a look at the midfielders again. The averages. Bonds and batters, he was go down 170. Bond only got 99, so he's going to go down for a couple of weeks, which is good. Brayshaw, yeah, he's done really well. Hewitt's got 100. Smith, Jesus, Smith, I regret. It's killing me. It really is. The Merritt had a poor week, only 76, so he's going to have a high break even. Oh, he had actually 170, so you could probably bring even Merritt in as well. If I had enough money, potentially. And then sort of your bargain semi-midfielders. I mean, you could potentially bring these in and then do another upgrade later on just to get rid of the rookie off field, although Ashcroft's not too bad. Maybe you can bring in Anderson. Price has dropped a little bit. Dawson maybe. No, he's only averaging 103. Yeah, Walsh is fallen down a little bit. Rail's performing poorly as well, so there's no one really that I want. Yeah, Cripps averaging 100. Can't believe he's won 2 Brownloads. Yeah, Sinclair's probably at a perfect price point if you want to upgrade the defence as well. I could even just get. Yeah, it all depends who's playing. And the break evens and so it's very, very disappointing with the rookie selections that are available. It's very frustrating. I probably need to target the buyers too. Anyway, a lot better this week, and hopefully you had a good week too. And thank you for watching.